Welcome back. In today's report, Mark Carney's narrative control is collapsing. Canadians are filling up their vehicles in Greater Vancouver at $2.05, and they're shaking their heads saying, why am I taking out a mortgage in order just to fill up my car when we have the third largest oil reserves on the planet? Canada's food inflation report came out today. It's bad, very bad, the worst in the G7 bad. And liberals blame everything on Donald Trump. But in reality, this is a homemade problem. The rest of the world is seeing a fraction of the inflation that we are seeing here in Canada. And Mark Carney's 1-year anniversary is met with brutal statistics, which include zero results. This is going to be an epic report. Let's get into this report. We got to have some fun. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here and cry.
Look at our supreme leader, Mark Carney. He is showing off his brand new, freshly bought disciple, the Honorable Lori Idlaut.
Absolutely zero surprise that there's another floor crosser, but this time CBC cannot blame Pierre Poilievre for the floor crosser, even though they would love to blame Pierre for everything. You know, the floor crosser just saw the Liberals and said, you know what? This is the party that's getting things done. We have zero pipeline after 1 year. Home building is down 15%. Immigration system is still broken. And violent crime continues to be a problem across major cities. The deficit has doubled. We're still running an $80+ billion deficit. Highest food inflation in the G7 now. And we have the second highest unemployment rate in the G7. How are our Canadian youth doing? Oh, and by the way, with this beautiful record, I would be switching teams for sure and joining the sinking Titanic. Because, hey, we are all in this together. How bad are things? 84,000 jobs lost. These are full-time jobs. In fact, 104,000 jobs were lost, replaced by 24,800 part-time jobs, for a total of just 84,000 jobs that are lost. But check out, the youth unemployment rate has jumped to 14.1%. And that is not the most outrageous thing. How bad is the unemployment problem right now? Canada has over 1.5 million Canadians are unemployed. Just to put this into perspective, Canada has just lost the most amount of jobs in the last 17 years. Let's talk about our Canadian youth. Out of all of the youth across Canada, only 53.7% are employed. That's right. Overall, for all age groups from 25 to 54, 83.1% is employed. Now let's take a look at the unemployment rate. Think about this. Only 53.4% of our Canadian youth is actively employed or looking for work, of which 14.1% unemployment rate. 40-something% is not even looking for work. They've completely given up, or they're going to school and soon to be giving up. The Canadian youth are getting decimated right now. Age 25 to 54, 5.7% unemployment rate. And check out the age 55 and up, 4.9% unemployment rate. If you are 55 and over, you're doing okay. But if you're a Canadian youth, we are in big trouble because the future of this country is in trouble. How does Canada stack up compared to our neighbor, the United States? Remember, they're doing terrible because they did all these tariffs on the world? Well, let's check out that theory. Statistics Canada made an adjustment to US concepts and provided us this chart. Canada is the one that is up above the United States with our unemployment rate significantly above the US. We are not doing as good. Canada's economic genius, the adult in the room, the guy that could outmath anybody on the planet, the guy that's going to negotiate a win with Donald Trump, had this to say exactly a year ago.
What is your reaction to the White House's confirmation of 25% tariffs against your country?
Well, look, I think President Trump probably thinks that we in Canada will cave in, but we are going to stand up to a bully. We're not going to back down. We're united, and we will retaliate.
I would expect, like you saw it in Canada, right? The Carney got elected with this term elbows up, meaning let's fight with America. They put on retaliatory tariffs. They were all bravado. And what happened? Their GDP negative 1.6%, unemployment rocketing towards 8%. And what did Carney just do? He just finally dropped his retaliatory tariffs. So I think what happens is it's all bravado because you think it feels good to fight with the biggest client in the world. But eventually, your businesses are going to say, you've got to stop this and go make your deal with America.
And the effect of this on the US and on Canada economically?
Well, ultimately, the steps that the president is taking against Canada, contemplating, I guess, as well against Mexico, China, others, and threatening the world are going to rebound negatively on the United States. They're going to hit growth.
The $18 trillion you brought in is creating an economic boom like none we've ever seen before. We are going to have 7% GDP growth. GDP now is probably underestimating where it is in 4Q, but with interest rates going down, with regulation going down.
Growth, they're going to move up inflation, they're going to raise interest rates, they're going to damage the US's reputation around the world. I mean, let's be absolutely...
Well, it's official. We can officially say that Mark Carney was wrong about everything. It was Canada that received the record inflation. The United States didn't get that explosion in inflation that he was talking about, and seeing their economy crumble as he described. It's quite the contrary, actually. It's Canada that is seeing it. Aren't you excited to have an economic genius that the Liberals claim is the only adult in the room? The guy that's smarter than everybody else. He could outmaneuver anybody. It's been a year and everything that they've been telling us is a straight up. Mark Carney has been the supreme leader of Canada for a whole year. He promised to build at unimaginable speeds. What exactly has he built after 1 year of power? We got an update a month ago on how many homes Mark Carney delivered.
So how many of these units that you guys have done are move-in ready?
So 9 of the homes in Nunavut are moving ready. We just got the notice very soon. And all these units will have shovels in the ground in 2026.
So,
and as you know, it takes some time to build the units. And we're still waiting for the money from this budget bill.
So the first Canadian housing bureaucracy, CMHC, says that we need to build 500,000 housing units a year. And you said we've built 9. That's a long ways off.
This is just a reminder that the Department of Housing billed taxpayers $32,707 to install a temporary structure for television cameras. The homes have since disappeared and been dismantled. So they are all about performative. Look, guys, we're building all these homes with these fake homes and then they just disappear. Imagine Pierre Poilievre started a lawsuit against CBC and CTV and sued them into obliteration, completely bankrupting both of those firms. Would you donate money towards that?
reporter. Look, David, I was just for the last couple of days in the UK, and as you probably know from the news over there, the head of the BBC and the head of the BBC News have both resigned because of something that happened with respect to a Donald Trump speech way back in January. It was around January 6th, at the time of insurrection. Anyway, it would appear that they pushed two pieces of video together. They didn't separate them, made it seem that Mr. Trump was saying one thing and not the other. And they both got fired over it because it proved to be incorrect. It was, as Donald Trump says, fake news. And now Donald Trump's suing them for $1 billion. Why am I telling you this? This is a very common theme out there that people are honing in on, which is, can you trust what's happening with respect to news? Doesn't matter if it's CBC or CTV.
I just want to say, if there is a fundraiser for this lawsuit, I'm in. Are you? Check out Steve McKinnon explain why there are so many floor crossers.
In the past, you've alluded to the fact that you said the Liberals were talking to more MPs who are unsatisfied with their parties about joining yours. Where does that stand right now? Is that still the case?
Oh, I think very much so. I think that Canadians who live in conservative ridings look at their MPs and wish they would spend more time proposing solutions, participating in this great project on which we've embarked to build Canada more strong and to continue to diversify our supply chains, to continue to develop markets abroad, and to continue to push our economy.
Stevie here. Stevie thinks that conservative voters look at their conservative MP and just wish they would become a liberal right now because the liberals have all of the answers. Oh man, do I have a clip for you.
Canadians who live in conservative ridings look at their MPs and wish they would spend more time proposing solutions, participating in this great project on which we've embarked to build Canada more strong and to continue to diversify our supply chains.
From now on, when we see a Liberal MP make everything up always, as Rosemary Barton says, we need to do this every single time. The world hasn't reached peak oil. It's going to continue to grow all the way till 2050, maybe beyond, but they're saying 2050 will be peak oil.
To address is that key report that was released today from the International Energy Agency. What can you tell us about that?
It's important to say that the annual report from the IEA sets out scenarios of what could happen globally for our energy trends. And in this report, it says that by 2050, that oil will continue to be in demand by up to 2050. That peak oil, as they call it, won't happen until then. Why that's important is that 2 years ago, the IEA said that peak oil could happen in the next 5 years, starting in 2030, and then start to decline. So a marked difference there. However,
they've been saying that we reached peak oil for some time. Back in 2023, 2024, take a look at the graph of consumption. Does this look like it's slowing down anytime soon? The Liberals will not allow Canada's economy to flourish. They won't allow us to pump, and drill, baby, drill, because they believe this.
They have no view about how to build an economy of the future. Oil and gas will peak this decade. In fact, oil is probably peaking this year. And the economic plan of the Conservative Party of Canada is simply to produce more oil and gas into a market that inevitably, if we are going to fight climate change, will begin to decline. That is a ridiculous economic plan for the future of this country. It will leave Canada uncompetitive and poorer on a go-forward basis. So for all of those reasons, I am very happy to be engaging this debate, but I would encourage Mr. Poilievre and the folks that sit on the Conservative benches to at least try to tell the truth.
Tell the truth. They want us to have affordable paychecks and be able to feed our children food, nutritious food. Or should we just rely on the Liberals to feed our kids at the schools because we can't afford it? These people have no idea what they're doing. They want to tell us that they know best. They know how to run an economy directly into the ground. Watch this CTV clip where they have Aaron Gunn make a very valid point Then they quickly cut to this dude who defends the absolutely ridiculous land acknowledgements. Our mainstream media is so messed up.
When the federal government uses the term to refer to private land as unceded, they are undermining their own legal defense of private property, and instead furthering a narrative, a real radical narrative that we all live on stolen land, we're uninvited guests.
It's not dividing Canadians to do a land acknowledgement that honors where, you know, people are at in this beautiful country and the people that were there before and the, you know, the history.
Aaron Gunn made a very valid point. The other guy, who is this guy? Is he even Canadian? Would you take a look at that? Looky, looky, another Brookfield deal, this time in the UK. Today, Mark Carney is in the UK, and you can't make any of this stuff up. Brookfield acquires Finlight in 2025, and today, Finlight merged with Astrato, March 16th. Every single time Mark Carney goes to a new location to negotiate a win for Canada, he comes back with a Brookfield deal. Donald Trump announced today that he's taking Cuba, just straight up taking.
I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation.
You know, one thing about Donald Trump, he really knows how to make the left lose their minds. He could have said it a little bit more appropriately, where he's liberating the people of Cuba instead of saying he's just taking it. But I believe he's trolling the left here. Let's talk about gasoline. In the city of Calgary on January 1st, the first day of this year, this was the gas price. What is the gas price in Calgary today? We have at Gas Buddy, the best prices is $1.48.9 or $1.50 across the city. That is a 50% increase in just 2 months. So in 2 more months from now, if we're going at 50% increase, we're going to see gas prices at $2 a liter in Calgary. Just so people are aware, it's already past $2 a liter in the greater Vancouver region. Who wants to know how safe Canada has become? I have never in my life seen anything like this before. Some people might say, hey, this is a great thing, but we do not live in America. We are Canadian.
Ontario Police Service is responding to online reaction after images circulated on social media showed a police sniper positioned above a St. Patrick's Street party. Waterloo Regional Police confirmed a sniper was watching over the annual unsanctioned gathering near Wilfrid Laurier University over the weekend. Police say the deployment of tactical officers was part of a broad safety plan that considered the possibility of mass casualty events, adding the practice is common for large gatherings.
It's common? Have you ever seen a sniper on top of a roof at any gathering? I've never seen that before, and they're worried about a mass event? This should be a concern. Who's ready to be absolutely speechless? I know all of the things that I just showed you should make you speechless, but after you see this, this is next level.
And Poland's army is banning Chinese electric vehicles from entering military bases over concerns that they could collect sensitive data. This is the so-called spy cars argument. Is that something that Canada would consider or that your government is not concerned about? Thank you.
About Chinese spy vehicles?
At bases.
At bases. To my knowledge, I don't think we're purchasing vehicles from China right now.
Wait a second. First, he did not deny that they are spy vehicles. You can't make any of this stuff up, Canada.
Vehicles. To my knowledge, I don't think we're purchasing vehicles from China right now that are operational at any one of our 33 bases, nor in our forward operating location in Latvia. It's an interesting development. I'm sure the Polish authorities have their own reasons for doing so. We'll take
Of course, because they know they're spy cars and they're like, we don't want them spying on our military bases. This is common sense. But in Canada, it's just an inconvenience that they're spying on us. We want to do business with them.
Close note of it.
Sorry, like allowing like CAF members who have like a Chinese EV, allowing them to drive into the base, that kind of thing?
Well, that's a question I'll raise with the operational folks on our basis. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. That's a valid question. What if one of those military personnel says, I want one of these cheap Chinese EVs that they're bringing in, 49,000 of them. And we're going to look at some statistics here. And they drive them directly onto one of Canada's military bases. Have you guys thought about that? Well, I'm not too sure. You know what? I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. We're not going to hear anything back. They're just going to allow it and close their eyes. Food inflation is getting so out of control. Here we have one small itty bitty piece of meat. This is in Edmonton. How much do you think this piece of meat is? $34. Most people don't even make $34 an hour. This beautiful one piece of steak is going to feed your entire family. You're going to have to cut that up into 10 pieces. Here's 2 mini pieces of steak for $44. You're not even going to be able to feed your children this steak. Look how small this is. That's how bad things are. This is in Alberta, Edmonton. We might as well fly to Vietnam because I heard Canadian beef there is half the price. Nano's polling just came out with a poll today. They have the Conservatives at 31 and Liberals at 47.8. This would result in the biggest super majority ever seen in Canada. We're talking about the Conservatives getting like 60 seats compared to like 250 or 2 something for the Liberals. So this is what I have to say. I think it's time, Canada. It's time. It's time for the polling companies to just come out and make the bold move and put the Conservatives at 0%. I'm not joking. 0% for the Conservatives. They could all claim victory of Trump-style politics is finished in Canada and announce King Carney as ruler of Canada for all of time. Kirk Lubinoff on X has provided this chart, Canada's electricity trade. The yellow line is how much we're on a surplus. Look at it, net export. The yellow line has officially dropped below 0. That means Canada is a net importer of electricity from the United States. We used to export electricity. Now we import electricity. How much of that electricity comes from coal burning power plants? That's my question. And another thing, we want to get all of these electric vehicles and move away from gas altogether. Remember we peaked out on peak gas? How are we going to move away from oil if we don't even produce enough electricity for our current demands? You can't make any of this stuff up, Canada. The biggest news of today is Donald Trump signed a deal with Japan worth $56 billion worth of oil. This is for U.S. energy being sold to Japan. Oh boy, Japan's going big on US oil. Japan signing this deal is a rejection of Mark Carney's decarbonized oil. Remember he said the whole world's gonna line up for our clean decarbonized oil? The world doesn't care about decarbonized oil, and the world also wants guarantees. Canada cannot guarantee anything.
We are low risk producers of oil. We are low-risk producers of natural gas. We're reliable. We can produce. We're in jurisdictions where what we produce will go to market, and we can deliver it to market. And that is a contribution in a world which is lost, in effect, in the oil case, 15% potentially, some buffer on that of its oil flow. And 20% of its natural gas flow.
Well, the low-risk producer loses out again. Melanie Jolie thinks that Canada is going to be an EV manufacturing superpower. I showed you that Canada is importing electricity because we can't meet current demand. Yet we're going to be an EV superpower, and everybody around the world is going to be purchasing our EVs. But in the meantime, we're going to flood Canada with Chinese EVs that are going to go onto Canada's military bases as spy machines. But let's just listen to Melanie Joly.
Embrace the vision that we are and we will continue to build the best cars in the world for the world. And what I mean by that is we're doubling down on electrification because that's where capital is going in the world. Because within the next 5 years, 40% of all the cars sold in the world will be EVs. This year, the European Union is actually, within the European Union, there are more EVs sold than internal combustion. Embrace.
You know, in the EU, their energy prices are so sky high, they have no choice but to take a bike or buy electric because their energy prices are off the charts. They don't enjoy something like Canada, which we have the 3rd largest oil reserves on the planet. We could continue driving gas vehicles indefinitely with cheap, abundant gasoline. But nope, we have this beautiful liberal government saying we're going where the future is. Unreal. Brand new data was just released. Canada's new motor vehicle sales for zero-emission passenger vehicles has just dropped to the lowest level ever recorded in history. Check this out. 51,400 vehicles. So Canadians are rejecting EVs. Yet we're going to be the #1 at building these EVs that nobody is currently purchasing. I don't know how all the polling numbers are surging. Carney was elected to save the economy. Since he showed up into our lives, everything is just so much worse. I think I know what's happening with the polling numbers. Rosemary Barton said it best. It's all made up anyways. All of it is made up. That's it for today's report. What did we learn today? We learned that everything is all made up anyway. We've reached peak oil in the liberal mind, yet the whole world is pleading with Canada. Please send us your oil because the Strait of Hormuz is currently blocked, resulting in 20% of the world's oil vanishing. We could easily provide the world with our decarbonized oil, but the problem is we don't have any pipelines to get it to them. So instead, Japan gets this $56 billion deal, sending that money to the United States for their oil and gas. And Canada just sits here and says, we're going to be an EV superpower when we are importing electricity. Did we get this entire report? I can't make any of this stuff up, Canada. By the way, I like to do daily reports, but I was in Victoria for my son's hockey tournament for 3 days. So I'm back and I'm going to deliver another report right after this report to try to get you guys caught back up. I'll see you on the next report.